Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Data Playbook. We have our Week 14 Sunday games to go through, but just before I do that, as a reminder, this is a tool that I'm working on, and I'm continuing to improve it. I'm going to try to get individual defensive stats in soon, and it's almost there, but it's just not quite there yet. So if you want to see that when it comes out, go ahead and leave a subscribe, and you'll get to see the updates as they come out. But other than that, let's get into the details of this game. Now looking into Washington at Minnesota, where Washington's favored on the money line with a spread of 1.5 and a total line of 43.5. And here's your team seasonal averages, and we'll see how they look for their rankings. With Washington a little bit more poor on the offensive side with a scoring rank of 22, a passing rank of 22, their best ranking of a rushing rank of 3, and a tight end rank of 18. Defensively, they're also not too great with an allowed scoring rank of 28, allowed passing rank of 32, and an allowed rushing rank of 27. For Minnesota, you have a pretty bad offense overall, with a scoring rank of 28, a passing rank of 30, a rushing rank of 25, but a little bit better defense with an allowed scoring rank of 18, allowed passing rank of 5, and an allowed rushing rank of 23. Starting off with the quarterbacks, you have Jaden Daniels and JJ McCarthy. Daniels having been out, he's at an average of 18.6 fantasy points per game, and McCarthy, who's been back for the last few weeks, at an average of 10.9 fantasy points per game. Here's your averages for the season for these two. And looking at the turnovers, you have Jaden Daniels with 2 interceptions, 1 fumble lost due to sacks, and 1 rushing fumble. JJ McCarthy has 10 interceptions, 1 fumble lost due to a sack, and no other turnovers. Looking at their rushing share, you get Jaden Daniels with 15.9% of the team's rushing carry share and 15.9% of the team's rushing yard share. McCarthy gets about 9.7% of the team's rushing carry share and 11% of the rushing yard share. For your running backs, you have Chris Rodriguez and Aaron Jones, with Rodriguez averaging 6.4 fantasy points per game and Aaron Jones averaging 9.4. There's your averages for the season. And looking back at the turnovers, with none this season for Chris Rodriguez and 1 receiving fumble for Aaron Jones. Looking at their share, you have Chris Rodriguez with 20.9% of the team's rushing carry share and 19.4% of the rushing yard share. This, of course, is much more mixed up on Washington since they've had some running back troubles. They've been through a fair few of them at this point, so that puts Rodriguez pretty low overall with the teams, especially for running backs. Aaron Jones over here, though, gets about 28.4% of the rushing carry share and 27.7% of the rushing yard share. Most of the other comes from Jordan Mason, since he filled in for about half the season for Aaron Jones. So Jones is going to slowly grow this if he stays healthy. For your number 1 receivers, you have Terry McLaurin and Justin Jefferson. McLaurin averaging 12.4 fantasy points per game, and Jefferson averaging 12.9. Here's your receiver averages for the season. Of course, with McLaurin being out for much of the season, he's only been back last week, and has missed quite a few games in between, so he has no turnovers, and neither does Justin Jefferson. With their share, you get Terry McLaurin at 11.8% of the team's target share, and 13.4% of the receiving yard share. Once again, these are pretty small, because he's been out so much, so these will probably grow over time if he stays healthy. Over here with Jefferson, though, he gets about 31% of the team's target share and 35.3% of the team's receiving yard share, which is the largest portion of anybody else on the team, which makes sense as a number 1 receiver, especially for Justin Jefferson. For your number 2 receivers, you have Deebo Samuel and Jordan Addison, with Samuel averaging 13.8 fantasy points per game and Addison averaging 10.8. There's your receiver averages, since both Deebo and Jordan Addison have no turnovers this season. So here's their share of the team, with Samuel getting about 25.4% of the team's target share and about 24% of the team's receiving yard share. That also makes Deebo Samuel the most targeted and have the most receiving yards on the team. That's especially helpful due to the absence of Terry McLaurin. For Addison, he gets about 18.5% of the team's target share and about 19.8% of the team's receiving yard share. Finally, moving into the tight ends, you have Zach Ertz and TJ Hawkinson, with Ertz averaging 10.3 fantasy points per game and Hawkinson averaging 7.6. There's your averages for the season, and there's no turnovers that have been given up by either tight end. So we'll look at their share, with Zach Ertz at 23.7% of the team's target share and 22.1% of the team's receiving yard share, and that puts him close to first but not quite, but it does make him a strong second on the team for receiving in terms of target and receiving yards. For Hawkinson, he's at 16.7% of the team's target share and 15.8% of the team's receiving yard share. It's a little bit more spread out with Minnesota, but that also puts Hawkinson up there about second or third. So there's your data for this matchup. In terms of head-to-head, it's pretty hard to say with this one, because you do have this pretty bad defense on Washington, but you're also going against a pretty bad offense. They have even scoring ranks with a scoring rank of 28 and an allowed scoring rank of 28. So you may have a very close, even matchup with this offense versus this defense. The vice versa would be interesting to see, with a rushing rank of 3 against this 23 here, this passing rank of 22 against this 5 here, and a scoring rank of 22 against this 18. So Washington definitely has their work cut out for them. It does seem like they might need to rush the ball quite a bit, and they may get stuffed in the passing game. But if they can really work this rushing game against Minnesota, and if they really put a stop to this Viking offense, then I think you might have Washington come out on top. It is interesting, though, with Minnesota at home, so you never really know with that situation. But just looking at the numbers themselves, they do tend to lean towards Washington. And with that, I hope that you enjoyed and got something out of it. And if you did, leave a like and subscribe, and leave a comment on what other data you want to see in the future. But other than that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you for the next one.